Talking Tunes, Oscar Oswald here with the one, the only, the amazing, the truly amazing Beth Beaman. The one, the only, the great. Anyway.
Oh my God, you're going to have to widen the doors so I can get out of here. My head's getting so big.
So anyway, you're here again with me. You came back, so that's a good thing. You know?
Yeah, it's always a great time chatting with you, Oscar.
Okay, so hey, something's happening big tonight, right?
Absolutely. The Playhouse is a beehive of activity throughout the winter, which is really, really cool. So tonight at the Playhouse, we have a comedy night with David Dyer. He's an amazing comedian, and he is a guy that you'll relate to because he has this amazing twist on looking at life, and you'll say, hey, that sounds a lot like me in my life. Joining him is another comedian, Matt Loria, and it's being hosted by fireman Pete McCarthy. So this event benefits the White Lake Fire Authority, and it is sponsored by the Citizens Supporting White Lake Fire. So that's tonight at the Playhouse at 7:30. Tickets are
really big show.
Really, really big shoe. Yeah. So a great night to get out and laugh and kind of shake off the winter blues. We've had quite a bit of snow in the last few days. So it's going to be a great time. And, we've got the show is at 7:30. Tickets are $10 plus a $2 ticketing convenience fee. Doors open at 7 o'clock. So it should be a nice night of comedy and laughter at the Playhouse.
And, of course, seeing the brand new, beautiful Playhouse of White Lake.
Oh, yeah. It's such a great place. Yeah. It's a great place to work.
Beth keeps it spotless.
Oh, yeah, I do. Actually got a little help with that. Actually, a lot of help with that now.
I went over there one time, and she was down there with a toothbrush on the floor.
Well, nothing's too good for you.
That's So what do you got coming up in February? So
February is another full month. This is part of a series that we're doing at the Playhouse, and we talked about it the last time we were together a little bit, is we're doing sing-along movie nights. These are presented by the Friends of the Playhouse, which is a nonprofit support group that formed several years ago as a 501c3, and they provide, they do fundraising for the Playhouse as well as provide volunteer hours. So that's really cool, but they're doing these movie night sing-alongs, and this and it's Saturday, February 1st at 7:30 is the Greatest Showman. So when you go to the film and you go to the movies and you can hardly stop yourself from singing along, you don't have to. You are not only allowed, but you're encouraged to sing along with the film. So the words will all be up there. And these are a special kind of film that are coming from the studios with the sing-along captions, a little bit more than just closed, than the closed caption you're used to seeing, when you're trying to keep the volume down in your house. So yeah, these are fundraisers for the Playhouse to benefit the Playhouse, and they are the monies that we're raising, that the Friends are raising, will help to provide funding so I can hire a half-time staff person. Because right now I'm still the only full-time staff person at the Playhouse, and I've been there for 6 years. And it's awesome. But having some help, some part-time paid help will be really nice.
Give them a toothbrush.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's exactly the goal there. Yeah, so that's going to be very exciting. So we have that coming up.
Can I bring my own karaoke machine?
No.
Oh, darn.
No.
Darn.
Anybody else can, but you can't.
Oh, I can't.
So we have that going on. And then this is a really cool thing that we're doing also in February is yoga on stage. And this is a yoga with Cindy Beth Davis-Dykema. She's an incredible yoga instructor. She does yoga on the beach up in Pentwater every day during the summer. She has classes in Pentwater, classes in Hart that she's doing, but she's coming to do classes at the Playhouse, and that will be Saturday, February 8th from 10 to 11:30. So it is a 90-minute class, and it's going to be right on the stage at the Playhouse with twinkly lights. This is also a partial fundraiser for the White Lake Youth Theater. Cindy Beth has been, who was a managing director at the Playhouse, has been very involved with the White Lake Youth Theater and wanted to do this to help support that group as well.
Okay.
So that is coming up. And the end of February, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, again when we meet again, but just getting on people's radar, February 29th, which is Leap Day, is 7:30 at night. We have the Krieglers. With a special guest, Scott Sheldon. So the Krieglers are a high-energy Celtic rock group out of Detroit. They're an incredible band. If you haven't heard of them, it's Kreellers. Check them out online. There's a ton of YouTube videos. Find them on Facebook and like them. Tickets for that show are $15 in advance and $20 the day of the show. So we're kind of connecting with our Irish roots here, and we love Irish music around here. With the Irish Music Festival being so popular, we know that our patrons love it.
Bill Marshall does his Irish thing every week on Thursday too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for those of you listening out there that like Irish music, get your tickets early because I think this is going to sell really, really well. So so that's our February.
And what better day to do it than the 29th of February?
I know. So when you're looking for something to do on Leap Day, this concert at the Playhouse with the Creelers. And
gee, what do I do with that extra day in February?
Exactly.
Beth found out what you can do with that day.
So my one extra day I get every 4 years, I'm doing a concert.
That's
right.
That's
something crazy. So the February is great. The Playhouse is warm and comfortable, and it's just a lovely facility. So I hope
it doesn't leak anymore.
It doesn't leak. No.
Awesome.
We have adequate facilities. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
Oh yeah, people can pee nicely now.
You don't even.
No, but it is funny though, because I remember that was one thing when you were giving the tour of the Playhouse when we were walking around, and you said, you must check out our bathrooms, because before it used to be this one stall little thing that you had to wait in a line to get into. Now they have these beautiful bathrooms.
Yes.
Just saying.
And it's amazing, especially for the women. The men are a little less enthusiastic about it, but the women would go in and go, and they would want to sing in there because it is a beautiful bathroom. And there's plenty of room. And so, I think we've got 7 units for the women, and we have a really great accessible toilet that's right near the theater. It's the Playhouse, we got everything we wanted out of this project, and I think it's really warm and inviting for our patrons, and it's great to work there. So,
there you go. Toothbrush and all.
Oh, yeah. Every once in a while.
I'll get you a new one, too. They're like 50 cents. I'll get you a new one.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
So, Beth, the amazing Beth Beaman, thank you very much for coming over again.
Thank you. Thank you, Oscar. You guys have a great rest of your Saturday.
All right, thanks. All right. We're here once again with Beth Beaman, the one, the only, the voice that introduces us on Talkin' Tunes.
Oh, gosh, that's right.
Yeah, and sings the Talkin' Tune, that anthem.
Holy cow, I forgot we did that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I love it. That's what my wife was saying when she heard it. She says, "Who is that?"
Who did you con into doing that song is really probably the better question.
Well, she didn't quite say it that way, but yeah, that's kind of it, yeah. But it took me like 3 seconds to write it and you about 4 seconds to sing it. So there we go.
Best 7 seconds of our lives. That's right there. Right.
Well, of course, Beth Beaman is part of the Playhouse, White Lake. I still stumble on that because I still feel like I'm the Hellmat Playhouse. But Playhouse White Lake, brand new, beautiful. And you've got so many great things coming up. It's just unbelievable. We were talking. One of the things we already talked about the Bohemian Rhapsody thing.
Oh my gosh,
sing along. We all got to go there and just be part of that.
Oh, Ashley, put on your Freddie Mercury and just do it. And nobody cares. And everybody else is singing and everybody else is up and moving. And it's really fun. This is our third. It's actually being presented by the Friends of the Playhouse as a fundraiser for the Playhouse. And it's the third sing-along movie that we've had at the theater. And it's just a blast. I mean, it's one of those things that when you are at the movie and you're at the movies with those kind of, this, when it has all this music and you want to sing, but it's like not acceptable. Well, this is more than acceptable because it's what you're supposed to do. So
we said we were going to dress up like Wayne's World, but the one guy that really can't sing, Peter Tripp, the curly-headed kid in the third row, he gets to drive.
Nice.
Yeah, he don't get to sing.
I love this movie too. So
great movie.
Yeah, and that's actually coming up on March 7th at 7:30. Tickets are $11, so really reasonable. And it's just a great night of fun for everybody. So it's a great show.
Coming up today on February 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Leap year.
Leap year. I know, what a great way to spend your extra day this year is with the Creelers, with a special guest, Scott Sheldon. So the Creelers were on air with Bill. Maybe a month or so ago.
Bill
they
Marshall,
did they did a live show with him. They are a Celtic rock band / punk band out of Detroit. They're super fun. If you haven't heard them, take a listen to them on thecreelers.com. And they're just a really fun show. When we're excited about that for tonight. It's $15. It was $15 in advance, and it's $20 tonight at the door. So it's a great night of entertainment and fun. And I can't imagine spending, my Leap Day a better way of, sitting in the theater listening to some great music.
And Bill Marshall might be there.
I'm hoping he's going to come.
Yeah, he'll be out there cheering. He's like one of the tallest guys ever, so you'll see him eventually.
Like, hey, dude, sit down. Oh, wait, I am.
That's Bill.
Yeah, no. So I hope that is to see Bill there. But it's a great show, and this is one of 3 Irish bands that are coming through the Playhouse this spring. The next one coming up is Aoife Scott. And some of the listeners might recognize her name from the Irish Music Festival.
Right.
She was one of the headliners there this last year, and she actually played at the Bandshell in Montague, was one of their free summer concerts this last year,
which are always great,
which are fantastic shows, and amazing talent that comes through there that you can literally take your lawn chair or your blanket down there and you see an amazing show. So she's coming to the Playhouse on it's actually March 21st, just after St. Patrick's Day. And joining her will be Ben Bedford. And for some of our loyal fans out there, Ben is he usually comes to the Playhouse once a year. He's a great singer-songwriter with a lot of soul. And so he's going to be opening for Aoife and the band. And she's wonderful. She was just named Best Female Vocalist of 2020 in Ireland. So she is a not to miss show, and it's spelled Aoife. So it's pronounced Aoife. So when you're looking her up online, you're going to want to look for that spelling to check her out.
Yeah, because I ask you how many times how do you say that again? How do you say that name?
Yes. Yeah. So when it is one of those Irish names. You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just a lovely human. So looking forward to inviting them to the Playhouse on March 21st.
Okay. Now March is it's a great month for, of course, the Irish music and stuff like that, festival and all that wonderful stuff. And I'm sure Bill might have interviewed her too, I would think.
He may have. Yeah, I may have missed that, but I'm sure he's, definitely knows who she is.
But you still doing the yoga on stage? How's that doing?
We are. You know what? We ended up having to cancel the January session first for weather, and the second time our instructor was ill. So our one that we did in February was fantastic. We had about 9 people join us on stage. It was just beautiful. The lights were really dim. They had like little twinkly lights up there, and it was just
you could probably sell tickets to that.
I actually, somebody came in and they said, "Can we watch?" I said,
"Can we watch?"
That might be awkward and weird for everybody else. But it's a really nice practice in a really unique space. And Cindy Beth Davis Dykema is the yoga instructor for that series. And she's just phenomenal. A lot of folks will know her from, she's done classes here in Montague, but she does a beach yoga up in Pentwater every day throughout the summer.
Okay.
So 100 days of beach yoga, and she's really remarkable.
And she probably gathers quite a few people on the beach too. That
oh yeah,
check it
people
out.
just kind of come in and check it out. I mean, I think she gets 20 to 30 people on the beach every day up there. So she's an incredible human. So I'm excited for that to coming up here again, March 14th at 10 o'clock in the morning from 10 to 11:30. So it's 90 minutes of yoga and stretching and just kind of reconnecting with yourself, especially during these winter months. It's nice to have something that is just for yourself. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Now, this one I thought was kind of cool because it's by Frank Adams, who of course was the person that started the Playhouse, wasn't he?
He did, yeah. So Frank Adams was he was originally, he lived in California, but he and his family had a house out on Sylvan Beach, out on Lake Michigan, right out here, right in White Lake. And he was a prolific writer. He wrote lyrics, he wrote movie scripts, he wrote plays. And so Frank Adams wrote a play called Molly and I, that the copyright on it is 1912. And we have an original script of this play.
And you still have to pay for rights to use
Oh,
this,
it's so thin. I actually had to do single page scans of it in order to
but I mean,
make
isn't
copies.
This like public domain now?
It is public domain.
Okay,
So it is copyrighted, but it is public domain at this point. But the newly reformed White Lake Dramatic Club is presenting a staged reading of this play by Frank Adams, Molly and I, on Sunday, March 15th at 3:00. Okay. And it's open to the community. Donations will be accepted at the door. But it's 10 actors reading the parts, and they had a read through and rehearsal last week. They'll do one more. We're going to be doing some interesting things with images behind them as well to, kind of tell the story.
Which I'm sure Frank didn't have back in the day.
No.
Maybe cardboard cutouts.
Cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
or wood cutouts, I guess. They probably didn't have cardboard there. But anyway.
no cardboard. But it's a really cool show. We read it and we were gifted this script from Pete Dam, who's a local historian and collector here in town in Whitehall. And we found it and said, this is a great way for the White Lake Dramatic Club to kick off their staged reading. So really cool show. It's a little long just because shows were longer than. It's probably 2 hours and 15 minutes running time. So we will take an intermission there. But inviting people to come, we'll do a little bit of a talk about Frank Adams and his history and legacy in this community, which the biggest one, of course, is the Playhouse at White Lake, which is at the corner of Mears and Slocum in downtown Whitehall.
And if they ever want to know more about Frank Adams, they go over to the Montague Museum, too. They have a whole display on Frank Adams over there.
And they have actually, when we were doing the renovations and doing historical research, they had multiple boxes of his scripts and newspaper articles and all of these things, these lyrics and things that he had written that we went through original documentation on too. So it's a wealth of information over at that Montague Museum.
Yeah.
So we're super excited. It's Sunday, March 15th at 3:00. And the White Lake Dramatic Club is open to anyone in the community who's interested in community theater. If you're interested in working backstage, if you want to be on stage, if you want to learn about lights, set dressings, costuming, it's a place to kind of, stretch yourself and get some cool experience and, get to know some other people who love theater.
Right.
So those meetings are being held regularly, and you can find more about that on our website and on Facebook.
Okay. All right. Now, the one that, of course, I'm excited about, and most people are excited about, because if they're anything like which you're saying they are, the Insiders, the Tom Petty tribute band. Now that like I was telling you earlier, is that Tom Petty, I've always wanted to see him. It's one band I never got to see.
Yep.
And my whole family loves Tom Petty, so I think we might all be going to that one. But anyway.
I hope so. Yeah. And now, obviously, Tom had passed away a couple years ago, and so this Tom Petty tribute band, it's led by their front vocal man is Max Lockwood, and he. If you do close your eyes, he sounds just like Tom Petty. He grew up listening to Tom Petty, loved the music, and so he has been. I don't know how long the band's actually been together, but they're out of Grand Rapids. They've done a few shows around this area, and when I first listened to them, when they sent me an inquiry about performing, I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So we actually booked them for a year ago, April. They were supposed to be at the Playhouse. And of course, we weren't quite ready to open yet. It was we were still under construction, so we had to rebook them. So they'll be at the Playhouse on March 28th.
There, I mean, come on.
I'm sorry, traffic go around. Yep. So March 28th at 7:30, $20 in advance, $25 the day of the show. So you can find out more about all of these shows on our website at theplayhouse@whitelake.org. You should find and follow us on Facebook. We have a really active Facebook page and a great community of people that, communicate back and forth. And it's a great way to share what's happening, at the Playhouse.
Yes, I'm still, thinking about the Tom Petty thing, because I mean, that's a voice that is really hard to copy, because I mean, there was the Bob Dylan type stuff that he did, and the actual singing that he did, because he could sing, but he did a lot of the Bob Dylan-ish. I mean, I don't know how to say that, but that kind of
raw?
Yeah.
Is that the fair way?
Maybe, yeah. But I mean, he had a very unique voice. I remember seeing a documentary on him too on, I think it was Netflix or something like that. And Stevie Nicks said that if Tom would have ever asked her to be part of his band, she would have jumped in a second.
Holy cow, I never heard that.
She loved Tom Petty. So
he was brilliant. And I am sad that he was one of the people that were on my list of people to see. And of course,
and if you want to catch that Netflix, I mean, I'm not trying to push Netflix, but if you catch that interview that was all about Tom Petty, this guy was amazing. He did some amazing things too while he was alive. So. But anyway.
Yeah, it should be a great show. So, that's rounding out March for us. So, we've got 6, public events at the Playhouse in March. We also, we have our other private things and other meetings and other things going on there during the day. But it's going to be a great time. It's, it's nice to be busy. When we reopened, we knew that we wanted to have as many events going on as we could actually handle. And I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah, you sure are. And April and May is looking pretty good, too.
April and May is super busy as well. Yeah. So we've got the Verve Pipe coming up in May, Organissimo, which is another group. Those are both being produced by by Groovia Productions, and those are great shows. We have a Beatles tribute band.
Yeah.
I know. It's the
excited.
British Invasion, and they're actually doing a tribute to Buddy Holly as well during
Right.
that same show, and that show's coming up on May 23rd.
Yeah.
And so John Gorka's coming back to the Playhouse in June. We've just got so much coming up and going on at the Playhouse. It's a nice and busy place for music, for performance, all kinds of things.
Okay. So, yeah, I definitely be going to that one. It's May 23rd. I got to mark that on my calendar too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Market and
Peter Tripp, the curly-headed kid from the third row, would be there too. So he'd be the guy that can't sing. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So this should be. It's turning out to be a great 2020, and we're getting ready. Actually, next week we'll be announcing our summer theater festival season. So maybe I can come back and chat a little bit about that next month.
Yeah.
And
We got to get you in with everybody so we can.
Yeah. Harass me a little bit.
Yeah. More than I do. Yeah.
I don't know that that's possible.
I know, right? All right. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
All right. If you want to know anything, go to the website, which is.
The Playhouse at whitelake.org.
Oh, listen to that voice. Wow. Anyway, we've got Bob is here on time. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that.
You know, get here when
Bob
you get here.
Becker.
You sound like you're surprised.
Is that a shock? I don't know.
No. And then, of course, the oldest member of the group. Isn't it nice to be the oldest member of the group?
Yeah. You're going to make
Bill
sure
used
that.
to be-
Yeah.
Call it seniority. I used to be.
Senor, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So now we have, you want to be called Peter Tripp, the curly-headed kid
Peter
in the
Tripp, the
third row?
curly-headed kid
Okay,
in the
well,
third
that's
row.
what you want to do. Now, Paul, you wanted to start first with your anecdote about back in 1950-something when you did, you sat at somebody's house and you guys recorded a raunchy tune or something?
Oh, and I was just talking about the. We can't decide whether it's Mike Shannon or Tom Shannon show on KBW
Yeah.
out there in Buffalo, New York. And Wild Weekend by the Rockin' Rebels was his theme song. And I was just saying that I was sitting in Sandy Viccarelli's living room with Jack Clement, that wrote the song. And I was just reminiscing about that. I mean, I was just the guy sitting in the corner. Everybody else was doing the... And then I guess they finally went to a recording studio, and it became a top 10 hit.
So you weren't in the recording studio singing along or anything?
No, we were sitting on the couch.
Oh, man, this story was
You know,
boring,
just
man.
picking the
Come on.
guitar a little bit and going do Mike Shannon show. You know, they were just singing along. You know.
Yeah, so I can see why you didn't sing in the studio.
I'm not.
Now,
When you get old like me, you start reminiscing about those old things.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
They're the past.
last week we did the show. We kind of did a lot of reminiscing about the old Talkin' Tune show. And I'm glad Bill is here today because there's one thing I wanted to talk about. I want to play a song and then we'll talk about it afterwards. Everybody can take a listen to it, and you guys will see what I'm talking about here. But anyway, here's a song. We're going to do this real quick, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more, Talkin' Tunes, and check this one out.
Muskegon Harbor's got a rusty clipper. It's a bucket of bolts we can plainly see. The bell's been stolen, the locks are busted now. What makes you think of this? has a good start. Muskegon Harbor's got a rusty clipper, a bucket of bolts we can plainly see. The paint is chippy, it's lost its luster now. What makes you think of this as a good start? Muskegon Harbor's got a rusty clipper, a bag of bolts we can plainly see. Rusting away is gonna fall apart. Who's gonna pay for this big brain fart? Muskegon Harbor's got a rusty clipper. Muskegon Harbor's
Well, did Hermits sue?
Yeah, they should. Yeah.
You know,
Mrs. Brown, you've got a lovely daughter. What are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
that's what it was. I was trying to think of what it was. Okay.
Who was singing that?
That was Ted. What was his name now? Tumbleweed Ted. And we saw him one night over playing at the Papa Top, and we all got together at the Priory. Bill was there, and I was there, and I think Greg and maybe John and Annette, and we all sat down and we wrote a song about the Clipper, and we gave it to Tumbleweed, and that's what he did.
So was he English?
I don't remember.
He sounded like he had an
remember.
accent.
I don't think so. Well, maybe I don't know.
I mean, that could just be his
Boston, maybe it was
diction.
in Boston. I don't know.
I thought maybe you brought Hermits in, and they
No,
I
no,
thought it was
no.
Herman, maybe.
But it's Peter Noon just rolling over.
Well, he could,
He's not dead, but I'll put him in his grave.
That
could tell
might get him there.
he could tell he wasn't going to make a lot of money on it, so he just used one of Hermit's tunes. But anyway, it was he was. It was all of us wrote that song, and I remember the one line that I put in there was the one about the farts, of course, as that was my line. But did you remember your line, or
I don't.
You probably remember the song.
not taking
I'll tell you
credit.
the truth, I didn't. I remember the one that Sharon Paladin did.
Oh yeah, but that was a good song.
Juniata,
Yeah,
which
that
the
was-
Clipper used to be called.
Yeah, which is what they were trying to raise money to.
Yeah.
The Clipper.
Let me get this straight. So, you guys decided to write this song,
Yeah,
and not in honor of the Clipper.
obviously. Yeah.
You guys destroyed
That's
it. You,
pretty disparaging.
so there was money trying to be raised to get this thing back into decent looking shape, right?
Yeah.
And you guys were like, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to just make this thing sound like the worst floating.
Yeah, but okay, where is the Clipper now? Where is it now? It's over
I don't
there.
know.
It's over
It's
there.
still there.
Is it still
Yeah,
there?
it's still there.
It's still there.
And they're
just
still
rusting
working
away.
on it.
Are they working on it?
Yeah, they have tours on it.
Well, maybe you should
Yeah, I
get
heard
the
the
song
tours.
out, get it some airplay, get people reminiscing about what an amazing. Well,
Oh.
When I was a little kid,
Well-
my brother and I took the Clipper over
Oh, yeah,
to
well,
Milwaukee.
I was my mother found out she was conceived and was carrying me at 5 months because she threw up the whole trip. Hey, on the Clipper. So anyway, that was the story I heard anyway back in '59.
my dad worked on that boat.
Did he?
When he was it was either when he was in high school, he went to Montague High School, and then he went to community college. So it was either while he was in high school or as a young college student, he worked on the Clipper, I don't know, busting tables or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember growing up and hearing about the Clipper, and it was a great ship at the time, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
Very
yeah.
nice.
Was it, what we talked about, I think it was during the time Peggy White Knight was part of the whole thing to try to raise money to get the Clipper going again. I don't know why we did that. I have no idea. It was just, I get kind of the way the Talking Tune show was going at that time, I guess, in the 90s. I don't know. But we just picked on it for some reason. I have no idea why.
Why not, right?
We were eating the Priory. We probably were all coming down from a high. Who knows? Too many Bloody Marys or whatever. But
I was going to mention that.
yeah. But anyway, so we wrote that. But yeah, hey, if people want to buy that song, we'll send the money over to the restoration of the Clipper. What do you think?
Have you been on board? I mean, I'll tell you one thing. The main lounge still looks great.
Yeah. No, see, I seen the Clipper when I took the ferry across, the express ferry, and when we were going to Milwaukee, and it didn't look bad from what I could see.
No, it looks fine.
Yeah.
It's just it's not up to code.
Not seaward.
And it's,
Yeah.
and the people who are working on it are really working hard, but no one has deep pockets.
Right.
It's going to take some serious money to get that thing up to code.
Well, what is the bell? I heard something about the bell got stolen or something. Did somebody steal the bell or?
I had heard that, whether it happened, and I don't see the plants that much. Well, plant is pretty much has been in charge of this thing, and I just haven't seen him in a while. I see his son, Young Walt, every now and then, but
I've never been on it.
it's really cool.
Either.
Has it been out of commission and not working for a while?
For a long time.
Long time? Okay.
Yeah, because like I say, the only time I was on it was in my mother's belly.
Oh, yeah, so it's been a
5
long
months.
time.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Okay.
60 years,
I
yeah.
think it was like sitting in Cleveland or somewhere for a little while, and then we brought it back.
Yeah, we brought it
Yeah.
back, yeah.
And then
So-
they were probably like, "Yeah, take it."
Well, the one ship right now, the LST, that of course is been redone. I mean, they got the money to do that. Of course, that has something to do with the war. So it was kind of a memorial kind of thing. So I'm sure they got a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
And
But,
Silversides,
yes.
You
Yeah,
talk to
it's
older
Silversides.
people, and they still, they think of Muskegon and the Clipper
Right.
together.
Right.
when it was the true port city.
I mean, just think of some of the parties you could have on the Clipper. That'd be fun over there as far as wedding parties and the receptions and all that stuff. They could do it right there.
You say there's still tours on it? Mm-hmm. I go down and see it.
I'm part of the historical society. Excuse me, the historical society in White Lake, and they did take a tour on it, and I missed that day. I don't know why, but for some reason I couldn't make it. But yeah, I wish I could have because I like I say I've never been on it. So anyway, Milwaukee Clipper. So
Well, it's something you and I have never been on. It's something you and I should do.
yeah.
And then
That's a huge part of the history of this community.
Only if you hold my hand, Paul.
Then you guys can
thanks.
write a new revised edition
Yeah.
of the song.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're a little more impressed, maybe.
I can sing. I can play.
I was
guitar and
always
sing.
impressed with it. Like I say, I have no idea why we wrote that song. All I know is that I found it, and I thought, well, I'm hoping Bill or Annette or Greg or somebody is here so I can play that and see if they remembered. So Bill's shaking
I'm
his head.
afraid I airballed that one.
You probably didn't even involve that. You probably said, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, maybe I had a
You just ate your lasagna
lucid
or whatever.
moment there.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. But the other thing, now another piece of history that just blew up, the Cobb plant.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, I guess
I'd
so.
forgotten they were going to do it, and everybody thought it was thunder.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I saw it on TV, of course, like most people did. I wish I would have known. I would have went down there because I mean,
Yeah.
I noticed that they finally got the stack down, and I'm thinking, okay, so what are they going to do with this? I didn't realize they were going to blow it up. I didn't know.
Well, I knew they were going to do it sometime, but I didn't know when. I don't know how well publicized that was. Maybe they didn't want a lot of people around there.
Probably not. I
Yeah,
didn't
there's
hear.
a lot of
No,
rubble.
in the summertime,
Yeah.
people can take their boats out and watch it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because
that could be a real traffic problem on the causeway.
Yeah, there's no parking to be had.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. We drove by there. There's still quite a bit of rubble there yet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot to clear up yet. But boy, when that thing came down, it came down. Even that little trailer on the top there or whatever
Yeah, I
it
saw the
was.
video of it.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
I never got to see the Occidental go down. We went down like 2 weeks before I came here to work.
Oh,
That's when
really?
the Occidental went down.
Yeah, that was quite the monument too here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
was
that's
a
where
kid.
the original WKBC
I remember
started.
standing in Hackley Park as a kid. I was probably 8 or 10 years old when that thing went down, and I remember, the big group of people standing there and just watching it and implode, and it like went off without a hitch. I think it was
It did.
very well done.
And I only know what I read about it.
yeah, well
but-
orchestrated. It kind of landed right where they wanted it to land, and
Yeah.
but I remember vividly being in the park right across the street and watching it. And
Yeah, for those of the listeners who might not know, the Occidental was the Occidental Hotel.
Right.
And the press club was in there.
Before the
Of course,
Muskegon
right across the
Mall.
street from the Chronicles, so you can imagine how hairy that got it after deadline.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was now the Muskegon Mall. Did that get just imploded too when they took that down? I don't remember. I was
No,
here.
they just kind of took it down.
They just took
yeah,
it
it
down.
wasn't that big. I mean, it was like only 2 stories in a couple spots.
Yeah, it was really like a few
It was
blocks.
just a flat
Yeah,
building. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I remember. Of course, I've been in there many times, but I don't remember when they took it down, how they took it down. So must have
I wonder if that's where my furnace came from.
I wonder.
No, my furnace.
You know, we should call a hotline right now and find out if that's where your furnace came from.
Yeah, because they say it came from a downtown hotel, and it's a great big water boiler, hot water system in my house. And DTE's come over several times and said this thing could do about 3 houses. And they said, well, it came from some downtown hotel downtown sometime. So
Yeah, that could be
maybe.
anywhere. That could be
don't
anywhere.
know.
There's a lot of them down there. Could have came from the Amazon. Anything. Anyway, let's take a break. Talking tunes.
not bad.
Did you guys ever know Jack Rice?
No.
He was a really fine actor and director, and a history teacher at the college. I mean,
Okay.
his portrait's on the wall at the college. But when he and Kit lived on Jefferson, they had a portion of the Occidental Bar in their basement to use for their bar.
I bet that was cool.
It was neat.
I saw pictures of like the lobby and everything back in the day in the
Oh, yeah.
1920s and that. Looked like it was just lavish, like,
Yeah.
It was high end.
yeah, very
Yeah.
high end.
Well, didn't they? You're kind of a historian, aren't you, Bill? As far as the,
Well, I like that stuff. It's always a learning process for me because
Yeah.
I'm not originally from here.
right? No, neither
So-
am I. But I was told by my ex-mother-in-law that they used downtown at the Pure Marquette that they used to be kind of like a carnival down there with the Ferris wheel and everything back in the.
Well, I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there used to be an amusement park, Pure Marquette Park.
But that's what I'm saying. Amusement park. Yeah, that's what she said. It was in Pure Marquette Park.
Yeah.
But okay. Anyway, yeah, because I mean, even like White Lake. I mean, when I learned all the stuff about, the Carolina coming over from Chicago every week,
Yep.
and all those, people there, and that place was always packed, and it's a lot of history. But that's why I kind of really enjoyed the historical society over there in White Lake. But I think they're kind of running out of ideas. There's a lot of history, but you can cover quite a bit. And,
Is Roger still around?
Yeah, Sharmer. Oh yeah, he's there.
Well, I'm no longer on the board at the Playhouse, so I don't see those people that much anymore.
Oh, okay. I actually bought Roger's old pickup truck, his old
Was that right?
Ranger. Yeah.
Do they still have the world's largest weather vane over there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
I
weather
didn't know
vane.
if someone surpassed it or anything.
No, I don't know. But
It's
where the
huge.
weather vane is now, there is a plaque right there, and my
I've
son,
seen it, yeah.
my son made that plaque. Nathan, he made
Oh,
that
wow.
plaque in, I don't know, one of those plants that they have there. When he was in school, he
That's
was still
cool.
in school. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then all those little emblems of the sailboats, he made all those too. So. Okay, so what are we doing? Who wants to do something next?
I can talk about the Civic Theater stuff.
You want to introduce Bill? You guys, you talk to Bill. You do the intro this time
Okay.
and talk to him and just ask him about that stuff. And I'll just kind of hang back for a change, instead of being the one that's going. Okay.
I knew this would be well thought out.
Yes.
You guys,
Nothing but the best.
I know you, but I mean, he's been. You guys work together doing basketball.
And years, yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah,
We had a whole career together.
we had a fun time.
All right, talking tunes, and we're back in Mr. Bill, or Mr. Bill, Mr. Bob,
Mr. Bell.
Mr. Bill.
Oh, no.
Help me! Help me! Help me, Bob!
All right. Well, we are here with Bill Iddings. Many people, of course, around town know, and he had a long time history with the Muskegon Chronicles. We just alluded to a little bit earlier.
35 years, just about.
Yeah, and well, of course, your specialty was covering the arts.
Arts and entertainment, I mean, I've covered everything.
Yes.
But for the last 20, 25 years, that's what I concentrated on.
Local theater as a critic, but also you partook in the act as well.
I've been a performer and director
Yeah.
and a playwright. I mean,
So let's get a little bit back into your background before this all happened. Where did that initially come from? Your desire, your idea of getting involved with that?
well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I'd never even thought about it. I was never in a play till I was 30 years old. I didn't do it as a kid. My grandparents took me to New York City once, my brother and I, and we got to see some stuff on Broadway, including seeing Art Carney in a play. from the Jackie Gleason show.
Yeah.
And so I always thought it was kind of cool, but I didn't really give any thought to do it. All I wanted to do was play basketball. It would certainly be studying. And, but when I came here to work for the paper, and I had come from the Lansing State Journal. I worked in the sports department there. And I was a general assignment reporter, and I was covering Oceana and Mason counties. Well, after a year, they brought me into the main office. They wanted me to be their business person, and because they knew I had a background in it. And then they just happened to find out that I had an interest in movies, which I've had my whole life. Said, well, we've never had a movie critic. So I began reviewing movies, I think in 76 or something, 1976. Okay. But anyway, at the old Port City Playhouse, which is over by Hackley Stadium,
right,
and it's now the Muskegon Civic Theater Scene Shop. Well, there was a play going on there. It was a play by Tennessee Williams, as I remember. But the person who was reviewing for the Chronicle, and I think at that time it was Susan Harrison, and I believe the show was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
Okay.
Well, she didn't want to review it. And I said, well, we've got to send somebody. So they sent me. And I go to see this show, and I said, well, that looks like kind of fun. And also, boy, there are a lot of girls in these things. Maybe there's something here. So shortly after that, I auditioned for Civic Opera Association's South Pacific. And they actually gave me, I'd never been in a play in my life. And they actually gave me a name role, Lieutenant Buzz Adams.
Oh, boy.
The first thing I ever did, and it just kind of took off from there. And so anyway, now I don't do that much acting anymore. 40 years is a long time to do that stuff, particularly if you're not a working professional in it. But I am on the board of directors for the Muskegon Civic Theater. And of course, they've got their new show starting right now.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to some of maybe your favorite things that you were involved in. Some of your favorite roles, maybe, or the different performances that you did.
Well, Shakespeare's always good. I've been in Hamlet. I did not play Hamlet, of course. He's a young man. As a matter of fact, I was the ghost of Hamlet's father, which means, I'm so far along, I'm playing people who are already dead. and I really enjoyed that. I played the title role in Cymbeline, and I played Gloucester in King Lear, which is a really big role. Not as big as Lear, of course, but I really enjoyed doing the title role in The Man Who Came to Dinner, which I was done out of town. I got a phone call from this theater company over in Greenville, the Flat River Players. And they had lost their lead actor. He'd gotten sick, hospitalized, I believe. Well, can you take over the role? Well, they were opening in 2 weeks.
No understudy.
No, not in community theater. You do not have understudies. And so I said, well, I've been in the play, which I had been. That was the first play Muskegon Civic Theater ever did. In 1985 when it formed, but I did not play that role. I played, strangely enough, the newspaper man. But anyway, I said, well, I'll come over and get her to try, but I couldn't take time off work. So, I was at work during the day and still trying to learn all my lines, blocking, and I had 2 weeks to get it ready. But at the time, Steve Landsberg from the TV show Barney Miller, he played Dietrich, I think. He was here doing a play for Cherry County Playhouse. And I had lunch with Steve, and I ran into him in Muskegon Mall. He goes, hey, how's the play coming along with those lines? He goes, and I'm like, man, I don't know. He goes, oh, you'll do it. And I'll tell you why. You have to. And he was right.
There's no better motivation.
It got done. So that was a really good experience. And there have been a bunch of others. The Runner Stumbles, which I did at the old Port City Playhouse. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where I played Big Chief.
Oh,
wow.
That was a yeah. And that was a good show, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Really
that
good show.
That would be pretty intense because of
very intense. Luckily, at least for the first part of the show, he's pretending to be mute, so he doesn't say anything, but you still got to act it.
Yeah.
So that was really good. But there's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, but the last thing I was in was a Holocaust play called I Never Saw Another Butterfly, and that was done at the college a couple seasons ago. Now I'm pretty much, maybe it's my job to help other people do it.
So how is the theater scene in Muskegon now compared to then, compared to maybe what you'd say was at its height? Where is it now?
Well, it was, when I first came here, there were at least 3 theater groups in Muskegon. There was Port City Playhouse, there was the Children's Theater, and there was Civic Opera Association. Well, what happened in 1985 is they merged into one. So Muskegon Civic Theater now has an education division. That's where the youth theater comes in. And the regular theater handles all the musicals and what we call the straight plays, non-musicals. Now, back in the day when Port City Playhouse was around, they did a few musicals, but Civic Opera Association, that's all they did. And they were around for a long time. I mean, I think since the 50s. And they kind of, it's just this is a small community, although it does have a lot of talent. We've sent an amazing number of people to Broadway, and not just to buy a ticket, but to be in the shows. But you had these 3 different groups working separately. Well, that's kind of thinning out your resources. So,
Now, I got to ask this question. When Cherry County Playhouse was here, when Judy Johnson was running Civic Theater, did you think that was kind of the prime time, though? I mean, I remember...
Well, but Cherry County Playhouse was a big, big deal. Yeah. But also, when they moved here from Traverse City, they were doing small shows in Traverse City.
Right.
Because they were performing in the round. Well, when you perform at the Frauenthal Theater, though,
right,
that's more than 1,700 seats.
Right.
You've got to do big shows, and you pretty much have got to do musicals, and they're expensive. And also they were bringing in name stars to star in these shows, and you have to pay them a good wage. But also you're bringing all the actors, most of the actors anyway, in from out of town. So not only have to pay them, you got to house them too.
Right.
And it was, that was really a cool time. Neil Rosen, who was the producer, and he and Pat Paulson, I believe, owned Cherry County Playhouse together. Well, then he got sick. And it didn't last much longer after that.
Right. And Neil, as we know, well, as you know, probably better than me, because I spoke with him a few times, but you knew him personally.
Oh, we were good friends.
He was an amazing man.
Actually, I was in a play he wrote once. It was called Silver Anniversary.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did it for the Black Sheep Players. Black Sheep Players no longer exists.
I remember that group, too.
They used to do some alternative stuff that the regular theater wasn't doing. Now, the Civic Theater now, really, we have 6 main stage shows a year, and one of those is what we call the Penguin Project, which is for performers who have, I wouldn't even call it disabilities, they have some challenges, and young performers. We've been doing it, I think, for 3 years now, and we do it in every October.
Yeah, I remember the Civic Theater. I had fun there too. Judy Johnson was there. I used to run sound a lot for certain things, and
well, Judy was great.
Oh yeah, and
she was a great performer too.
My daughter was part of the youth group, and yeah, it was a good time. Good time back then. Memories.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about doing it is you save the pictures from them, not because you want to look at pictures of yourself, but it brings back so many memories.
Oh, yeah.
And normally the stuff I really remember is the stuff that went wrong.
Yeah.
Which happened a lot.
But that's the fun part. That's always the fun part.
This is not like a movie where you get to reshoot the scene.
Later.
Once you screw up, you've screwed up.
Later you laugh about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes much later, but.
Yes, it depends on the screw up, right?
Well, when you look back and it seems serious at the time, you realize, oh, come on, no one died.
Yeah, kind of like the show.
Well, the show might have died, but I mean...
this show.
Let's get on the other side of it then. So, aside from performing, reviewing, and critiquing, how difficult was that to be in that role? Because you basically were doing them at the same time.
Yeah. Obviously I wasn't... It's too bad I wasn't reviewing stuff I was in. I would have gotten great reviews. And it's like, oh, what is this one standout performance? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is good to have someone in it who knows the territory, though. And the best example I can think of in my time in the Chronicle was John Allen. Now, John Allen was a great critic. He was also a very talented performer. He simply didn't have the physical health where he could do it very much. He'd been kind of frail his whole life. But I mean, this guy used to be the chief movie critic for the Christian Science Monitor. And back when, I remember, because I have a copy of it, when the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey came out, Stanley Kubrick said that after reading John's review, he's the only critic who understood it.
Oh,
and he
wow.
called John in for a personal face-to-face interview.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
It
But
is.
you're right, it was a challenge because obviously when I'm in a show, I'm around the other actors. And I'm sorry, it's the nature of actors. They're just calling up to complain to you. I'm going, quit reading the reviews and let's just do the show,
Now, who were some of the famous people maybe that you rubbed elbows with in doing critiques or having? Did you do interviews as well, or did you just?
I mean, everyone who came in for Cherry County Playhouse, and several of them, I was in the shows with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in MAME, which starred Loretta Swit from the TV series MASH.
Yep.
And I did like 5 little roles in that. And but I used to hang around with Don Knotts. He'd come in and do a show, and I guarantee you, he was not Barney Fife at all. He was quite a guy. And but Joel Higgins from Silver Spoons, he was here doing a play called The Foreigner. But I got to know them all. Rita Moreno, who was just,
Rita Moreno.
as big a star as you can think of.
Wow.
Every time she'd come here to perform, we'd have lunch together. And of course, took a little while to get through lunch because everybody was coming up.
I wish I would have
asking her
known you
for
then, Bill.
autographs.
Yeah, I wish I would have known you then. I'd Rita Moreno, man.
Yeah, she
Like
was.
that story.
She was really something.
Yeah.
But I mean, they all were, and most of them are really great people too.
Now, what about you said Barney Fife was not, Don Knotts was
Barney
not
Fife?
Barney
believe me,
Fife.
was a role.
Yeah.
that was not.
What
Don
was
Knotts was
what was
like.
Don Knotts? What was he like?
He loved baseball.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, and he was a big fan of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And it was so funny. He came in here to do, I think, Last of the Red Hot Lovers, and I had just been at Wrigley Field to see the Chicago Cubs play the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's all he wanted to talk about when we were having lunch. I'm going, well, I really need to ask you about the show. He goes, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, Tim Wallach hit a home run, and
Yeah. You want it? We'll take a quick break here, and we'll be back with more Talking Tunes.
And we're back on Talking Tunes, and again, we're visiting with Bill Iddings, and we're talking about what else but Muskegon Civic Theater. And we talked about the past, we talked about perhaps the golden era, but we've also got the current edition, and we've got one coming up for people to see.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, by the time people hear this show, this program, the show will have opened. It's called Fun Home, and it is a musical being done in what we call the black box format. It's going to be done at the Frauenthal Theater, but in the black box format, the audience is on stage with the performers
Oh, wow.
in the 3/4 round. This is a musical taken from a graphic novel by a woman named Alison Bechtel. And she's a real person, and it was an autobiographical graphic novel which Janine Testori and Lisa Crone made into a musical. This was the first, I believe, the first musical in the history of Broadway where the lead character was a lesbian.
Oh, wow.
And this play is, by the way, not for children. We, in the black box format, we take a few chances. This is about her reminiscences of her life. And Fun Home refers to the fact that she grew up in a funeral home. And she and her brothers and sisters called it Fun Home. And it's talking about her at 3 different ages, but primarily when she's an adult, not dealing with her family and her sexuality. She's dealing with the suicide of her father, who one of his problems was that he was a closeted homosexual and never let anybody know. And anyway, the show is going to run for only 2 weekends. We normally do 3 weekends for our smaller shows, but in the black box we do 2 because other things have got to be done in the Frohenthal, looking to kick us out. But so it's going to be really cool. One thing I like to point out about it, that in the show, playing the father is Michael Ramsey. Now, I don't know if any of you know Michael, but he just recently was sworn in as Muskegon City Commissioner.
Oh, wow.
And he's been in a few of our shows now. He was just in A Christmas Carol, and now he's doing a major role in this one. And Michael is also on our board of directors. So this should be, pretty good. It's limited seating. I'll tell you, if you're going to get tickets, I'd get them now, because we can only seat 150 people per performance.
Okay.
Because of what the setup is. But anyway, it's going to be, what's really neat about this is the lead character of Allison is played at 3 different ages by 3 different performers. Small Allison, medium Allison, and then adult Allison.
Okay.
And which means you have, kids in the show, and also some younger people playing young Allison's siblings. So it won a lot of awards. I think it won the award for Best Musical. The music is just outstanding. The director is Andrew Zart, and he was telling me the other day, he says, you better bring a handkerchief at the end because you're going to need it. So that should be pretty interesting. And then the Civic Theater will be getting ready to go into the last show of the current season, and that will be the big musical. And that's going to be Mamma Mia, which is the songs of ABBA.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely popular show.
Yeah.
Auditions are coming up, I think, February 16th and 17th. And come on out, folks. We need a lot of people.
There's our opportunity.
Yeah, we got to go. We'll go, definitely. My wife loves that show. So yeah, I hate to admit it, but being a kid from the '70s, I do like ABBA too. I like them now. I sing it along.
Well, I was never a huge ABBA fan. It's not like I dislike ABBA.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a huge ABBA fan, but I am a fan of the popularity of that show.
Well, yeah, that popularity. And do you realize that the one of the lead singers, the female lead singer, the blonde in ABBA, I don't know her name, but she has people used to go to the concerts just because she was voted the #1 butt.
But be like number one, but
the number one behind.
Oh, B-U-T-T. I see.
Number one behind in America.
Oh, I think it meant like #1, but not really.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's turn this back to Fun Home, if we may. Again, this is playing at the Muskegon Civic Theater. Downtown. You can get tickets through Star Tickets, 1-800-585-3737. That's 1-800-585-3737. And the box office is open Monday through Friday, 11 to 5:30. Also at MuskegonCivicTheater.org.
Oh, theater. I got questions for you about
Sure.
because you're always you always do your pick. You used to do your pick in the Muskegon Chronicle as far as who you picked for the Oscar.
Oh, the Academy Awards?
The Academy Awards.
Well, for I think 27 consecutive years, we had the Beat Bill Academy Awards contest.
Right.
And it was a promotion. I mean, it was not my idea. It was Bill Locksterman's idea.
Oh, okay.
But it just took off, and it was always our most popular promotion.
Yeah, it was huge. It
was a big deal.
Yeah.
So, are you going to make a prediction now or no?
I haven't seen everything.
Yeah.
But I have seen quite a few. As far as who's going to win it, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Because then it becomes a horse race.
Yeah.
Like you're just, picking the ponies or something like that. I would always pick the movie that I thought that I would vote for if I was a voting member of the Academy.
Yeah. Not necessarily who you thought was going to win, but who you thought should win.
Yeah. And sometimes I hit it and sometimes I didn't.
Yeah.
I have seen, of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We were talking about that earlier.
Which it's a movie I liked a lot. I've seen The Irishman, which is on Netflix.
Right.
And that's a whole different story there.
Right.
I finally got to see Jojo Rabbit. And boy, if you haven't seen it,
I saw on
I
Facebook.
highly recommend you see this movie.
I saw on Facebook that you had told everybody that they should go see that movie.
It's made by a filmmaker from New Zealand that also made a Netflix production called What We Do in the Shadows. It's about these 4 roommates growing up together, hanging around together and stuff like that, which they've been doing for hundreds or maybe thousands of years because they are vampires.
Oh, okay.
And that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have not seen Parasite yet, which is from South Korea, and that is up for Best Picture, even though I believe it's a foreign language film.
Yeah. Can't do it.
And I haven't seen Bombshell yet. As what's really going to win, geez, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see everything, and I don't envision that happening.
Well, like I was telling you earlier, I finally saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I liked it, but I don't know. It was a little bit too slow moving for me. And the climactic ending was great, but and then I don't want to give away the ending, but to me it was kind of like saying, what if it would have happened this way instead of the other way? That's what I felt it was.
Well, the director, Quentin, he's also
yeah.
the writer, did the same thing
Right.
in Inglourious Bastards with the fate of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
So let me do a little spoiler there. He's rewritten history again.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Okay. Now I definitely got to ask you about this one. It's not nominated for anything, but I've heard so many comedians put it down, and I would never see it because I didn't like the original production of it. But Cats. What do you think of the movie Cats?
I have not seen the movie. I despise the stage show.
Okay, yeah, good.
I don't
thank
like
you, Bill.
it at all.
I don't either. I thought I couldn't stand
And of course,
it.
the critics have just ravaged this thing.
Yeah.
One of the best write-ups I've ever seen about Cats is by the columnist Joe Queenan. I don't know if you know who he is. I think he writes now for the Wall Street Journal, but he is really sarcastic. And when he was writing about Cats, he goes, "I was really unprepared." And he's not talking about the movie, he's talking about the stage show, of how awful this show is.
Yeah.
And because I'll tell you what it's about. It's about cats. and that is what it's about. On the other hand, it's a hugely popular show.
I know.
But I remember when I took my daughter to see it in production in Chicago at the old Schubert Theater, I think it was, or maybe it was the Blackstone. But, and she was like 12 or something like that. And she's not 12 now. I won't tell you how old she is. But I'm sitting there going, God, would someone just sing the song Memory so we can get out of here? And but visually, it's quite stunning.
Yeah.
And then, on the other hand, when I went to see the stage version of The Lion King, I was prepared to hate it. It's really astounding.
Yeah.
It's got probably the best opening scene I've ever seen on stage.
Now, what about the movie? Did you see the remake of the movie?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
I haven't seen it.
Once you've seen it on stage, when all these huge animals come in, of course they're puppets, but the puppeteers are inside the animals,
Right.
and so you can see them too, and it's really, really something.
So kind of hard to watch an animated thing after that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're two different animals, if you will.
Yeah. All right, thank you, sir. Well, we're going to take another break, and we'll be back with more Talking Tunes after this. Cable anymore.
Well, we won't tell you the score. You can watch.
That's
the
okay.
replay.
Now you can tell me anything you want. Talking Tunes, we're back, and I heard there was a big game last week sometime.
Yeah.
Last week.
This past Monday, national championship college football game.
So you got the three of you all saw it. I didn't see it because I'm one of the people without cable. So one of the few that still live in the Stone Age. But anyway, you guys tell me what happened at the game. Why was it so spectacular?
It was between two teams that were 14-0.
Yeah, both teams were undefeated.
Weren't they the only two that ended up undefeated?
At least of the major schools.
Of the majors, yeah. And of course, they had the Heisman Trophy winner. Burrows it's Joe.
His name's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
He used to be at Ohio State, and then he transferred out.
And it was a great game. Boy, you could tell that those two teams were 14-0. Of course, unfortunately, one of them is 14-1 and one's 15-0 now, but that's the way it goes.
The final score was 42-25, and it was a really entertaining game.
Right, and
back and forth.
Yeah, it wasn't out of sight until late in the game. It was close. Didn't know which way it was going to go for a long time. When did they pull out? They pull it out in the fourth quarter. They started really.
Yeah, Clemson jumped ahead, and then LSU just took off.
Yeah, they just took off.
Yeah, and they kind of kept them at arm's length the rest of the game.
You can't believe some of the plays that this Burrow pulls. The way he picks these, it's like he's got peripheral vision. And he
sure he
can
does.
look right. He just knows that this guy's moving over here.
Hopefully, he
well,
does
I
have
mean-
peripheral vision. But anyway,
Well, I mean, good. I mean,
Yeah, well, he is
Be moved.
definitely, he won the Heisman for a reason.
Yeah.
He had a great year, and that's really what the Heisman's all about: is who had the best college football season, and he really did. He's completing 70% of his passes,
Right.
and just making great decisions. And he can also get up and run a little bit if he needs to, but just that team is loaded with talent. LSU had a fantastic year. Of course, there's a little bit of a Muskegon.
I was just going to ask you about
flavor to
that because you're a Muskegon Big Red. I don't
Yeah.
want you, but I was scouring the sidelines to see if our Anthony Bradford was, and he was there.
He was there, and he was dressed,
Yeah.
and of course, he was the biggest player on the roster, physically speaking.
And he is big.
He's six. I believe he's listed as 6'7", 355.
wow.
He's
Now,
a
what
true
was-
freshman at LSU.
LSU. Okay.
And he played tackle in high school, but they say he may end up playing guard at LSU. But he's an offensive lineman. He did appear in several games this year. I think 3 before the prior.
I believe
prior
that's
to the,
right, yeah.
To the championship game, and the rule in NCAA is if you appear in 4 or less, you can be redshirted. You can basically have that year back. And so they were holding Anthony back, so they didn't burn his freshman year, just playing mop up a little bit. So he still has 4 years of athletic eligibility left, but he did get to play in several games this year. And last night I saw him after the game. He was on the field celebrating. He was waving the big
He
LSU
was. He
national
was.
championship
All right.
flag.
Okay.
He had the T-shirt and the hat on, and he was, getting interviewed a few times. But he was obviously very excited. So he was a state champion at Muskegon High School. Now he's a national champion at LSU. And this kid, the future looks bright for him. He's an amazing talent, an amazing young man. He really is. And he listened to like his offensive line coach at Muskegon, Matt Bowles, head coach Shane Fairfield. They really speak very highly of this young man. And he is a good kid. He's making good decisions, and he's putting himself in a spot where he can have a great future. Perhaps
What a
NFL.
thrill for him and his family.
Yes.
My Lord.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it doesn't get any bigger than that. I mean, the national championship game, the game.
Yep.
I got to ask you, Bob, since you're here in your course, the sports. Well, Bill is too, and so is Paul. But you're the sports guy. You're the announcer. But I got to ask you, Aaron Rodgers. What do you think? You think he's going to make it all the way? Think
All the way where?
Packers- There's a
Like,
switch on you, but
Home for the evening, or
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what your question is, but
Well, are they going to use the Green Bay going to take the Super Bowl?
They got a good chance.
they got a decent chance.
I watched that game, and that was a good game. And
Yeah.
they pulled it off. They pulled it off like they usually do at the end.
Yeah, and that's kind of what
Not like the Lions,
Green
where they
Bay
have
is kind
lose
of
at
a
the end.
survival kind of team.
Yeah.
They're,
But Rodgers is the oldest quarterback in football right now. I mean,
Yeah.
this could be a big moment for him if he does take it all the way.
yeah. I mean, there's a chance. I guess I'm not a real huge NFL
well, he's
guy.
not as old as Tom Brady, is he?
Yeah. I don't know if he is, but
He's not as old as Tom Brady, is he?
Well, I don't know. Aaron Andrews was the interviewer, and of course,
Well, he might be the oldest one who's still in
Still in
it
it,
because
yeah.
Brady's out.
Yeah,
the Patriots
the
got
old
beat.
one's still
Yeah.
in it, is what she said. Yeah. So
There's another question.
what?
Brady, our Michigan boy, you think I figured he was going to be all done. Somebody says he's going to come back again.
Oh, he's coming back.
Coming back?
Yeah, the guy can still
You think
play.
he should?
Big time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him was, if he would have won it, that's the saying is, if he would have won it this year, then he would have retired on top, and that would have capped his career, and he would have just kind of walked away into the sunset on that Super Bowl high. But since he didn't win it, he feels like he has unfinished business. He feels like physically he can keep playing. He's stated in the past he has a goal of playing until he's 45,
Okay.
a couple more years. So, and if you've watched him play recently, people have questioned he's lost a little bit. He has. I don't think anybody can say he's the same quarterback he was 10 years ago.
No.
But is he good enough to still lead the team? Probably. He's probably still one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league right now.
Yeah.
So
Of course,
he will be back.
I'm from New York, so I've always been a Patriot fan. But I saw them play this year, and my wife and I were talking. I said, nah. I said, they aren't going to make it. I said, they might get by the first round, but that's going to be it. So I was wrong. They didn't make it past first round. So
Yeah. So anyway, so it's anybody's guess. And okay, Super Bowl. Who do you think then? If you don't think Green Bay, who do you think?
I'm kind of leaning toward the Chiefs.
What about you, Bill?
The Chiefs look good to me.
I'm a 49er fan.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm hoping for my team, Green Bay. They didn't do it. They haven't done it, and I wanted to do it.
Well, you and my son can go cheer by yourself.
Well, I'm. The wife and I are big fans of Wisconsin these days. So
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, Bill, it's been great having you here. I hope you come back all the other times that we're here. I don't know if you can make it every time or every Saturday, but hey, if you
give
can,
it a shot.
If you can, that'd be awesome. I'm so glad to have you back.